I'd like to say, first of all, hello, everybody. This is God, Aliens, and a Cup of Coffee. I'm not God. She's not the alien, but there might be a cup of coffee involved. So I'm really excited. This is our first meeting. We didn't do it last week or the week before due to some technical difficulties. My middle name, technical difficulties. But before I go, this is something that Donna doesn't even know about. I received this card in the mail from my sister and Donna's sister, Colleen. And what she wrote, just to give you an idea, because I have to share because life is about sharing. It is the little things in life that touch our hearts the most. And she wrote down Lori, so you can see the handwriting. So she didn't just write love, Colleen. She wrote this. First, the card itself said, thanks for being the kind of person who makes such a big difference. And she wrote down, Lori, thank you for being such a wonderful sister. 2 exclamation points. She didn't say that about you. She goes, Mom's passing.
I know it's so rare that you get it, that you're actually sharing it. You froze, Lori.
All right. This is a serious part. Break out your hands.
Frozen.
Okay. Mom's
Hello.
This is what I'm about talking about. Mom's passing. Okay. I don't know why it says it's unstable. Okay. Where am I going? Did you just see me move around? Okay. She wrote down, okay, thanks for being such a wonderful sister. Mom's passing.
Lori, you have no sound.
All right, let's start all over.
Now you have sound. Okay. What happened? You froze. Did you know you froze?
Yeah, it said something about the audio was unstable.
Did you hear me tell you that we're frozen?
Nope.
You see me waving?
Nope, no waving. No waving.
Okay.
So
start again.
Anyway, I'm trying to get to this card.
All right, so start again.
Okay. Thank you for being such a wonderful sister. Mom's passing was hard, but having my sisters there, they're telling stories of our childhood, meant the world to me. I loved your reading, and thank you for sharing it with all of us. Your kindness and love is what helped the most.
Made you cry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my love, Colleen. I'm turning into my mother. My mother cries over all kinds of things. But that was really, really beautiful, unexpected. And sometimes it's the little things like that in our life that makes life really, really special and worthwhile. And it's, you know, it doesn't take, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to be considered generous. And that made my day and my year. And I thank Colleen from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I'm so happy that you shared it. Yeah. I'm gonna start calling you Mr. Rogers.
Well, let me tell you.
I love that about you. This is going to be the Mr. Rogers show. Because I got a letter in the mail, and here it is.
And no, let us open it up.
Seriously, though, it was beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it yesterday, right?
What's that?
About your speech, how special it was.
Yeah, for me, it was really nice to get your feedback and to get Colleen's feedback. I mean, it's just because sometimes you don't, you know, what you put out, you know, everyone can be different in how they receive things, you know. And so, and sometimes I really do push the limit of, you know, getting my thoughts out. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Do you hear that in the background?
Yeah. What is it? A bird?
It's a quail. They are the most entertaining birds you will ever see in your life. They walk around, they got this big plume on top of their head, and they're not the smartest, but it's amazing they're not extinct because they don't fly. anyway, but they're like comedy entertainment.
Cute.
They're part of the Mr. Rogers show.
You know what you reminded me of? I watched that show Spencer about Princess Diana last night.
Mhm.
I think that was quail is what they were shooting. So they were scaring the quail so they would try to fly.
Yeah, it was a pheasant. I
Isn't
guess
that mean?
they're about as smart as, I guess, the quails, and they're sweet and they're beautiful. So it's like, why kill them, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like that. I actually saw that too recently, a couple of days ago, in fact.
I like that she stepped out in the middle of all the guns. You know, you're gonna have to shoot me. I want my kids out of here. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, yeah, and I thought that Kristen Stewart did a really good job.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize her. I didn't even know it was her.
Yeah, that's how she did such a good job. I thought the makeup was great, but you know, she was really, I could see her using the nuances. And but yeah, I thought it was wonderful. And but yeah, the quails are something else too. And I feed them, so they should be happy. And you know, we actually saw a javelina go by in the yard too, not long ago today. And that's like a big. It's about the size of Kai, your dog.
Wow.
See that quail is trying to be very subtle. He's saying, okay, all you bobcats and everything out there, I'm here, but you know, I don't want you to attack and eat me. So anyway, I am in what I call my, they call this the Arizona room. It's actually an enclosed patio. So that's where I'm doing my talk. But so,
This is good for you, Laura, because there's a lot of distractions because I'm just watching you share and you're sharing like this. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you see the bird? The bird's there.
it's so big. It's like this. And then it's all, yeah.
But see what I'm saying? You should not be sitting, you need to be in an enclosed room where you can focus on the video, what we're talking about.
Okay. Now here's something is that there are quite a few people that are, well, I think there are like 10 people, but there are people that are starting to watch our podcast. And one of the things they're saying, or at least I feel intuitively they're saying, is like, Lori, you're not talking anything about your UFO. What the heck? So we just want to hear your story. And, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I know you want to hear my story. Because, and then I sometimes get onto this talk about this guy, Nick Pope. Have you heard me talk about him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I guess the thing that why he's like a wound that he's got a scab, and I keep picking at it and I can't stand it. He's been on a couple of videos recently again and doing all this stuff. And I keep talking to people. I don't get it. I said, he is like the Weavers on, what is that? It's by Hans Christian Andersen, The Emperor's New Clothes.
Okay.
And he's the one that's created all these clothes, and everyone's like, yeah, oh, it looks great, even though there's nothing there. And I'm thinking, because it's like he's the go-to person in all of ufology, or you know, if anyone sees anything in the sky, everyone says, oh, let's ask Nick Pope to see what the heck is going on here, because he knows. And he's got a British accent, so he's go, well, you know, this blah, blah, blah. And I used to be I was the boss of the UFO desk in Ministry of Defense, which is equal to, say, Department of Defense, you know. And he wasn't. He was some secretary kind of clerk, and his dad was very, very famous. Apparently, his dad was very, very influential at the Ministry of Defense, but he was not. But so he actually created this persona, and this is amazing to me. You talk about marketing, you know, how to get the word out. that's not true, you know, and to really stick to it, it just baffles me because I think, well, if I get my story out, maybe people will listen, you know, like the way that they listen to him. He could say, there is a weed growing in the yard, and everyone would be like, oh my God, that's wonderful news to hear, you know, Nick Pope. And I just, it's terrible because I cannot watch a lot of these UFO shows, you know, the documentaries to find that information, because they use him as the go-to expert. So it's really, really.
Replace that.
What?
Replace Nick with Lori Rayfeld.
That's right, because
You know what's going on.
I know what's going on. I mean, you know, and I don't, you know, and I'm not trying to say, well, no, I guess I am saying that. I want him out of the conversation. But there's this group called MUFON, and they're known for doing research in ufology, and I mean they're run by like the, you know, anyway, they're like the experts, and they, you know, they have all this what's that? Did I freeze again? What? Oh no, you froze. What in the heck's going on here? Okay, go ahead.
No, you were saying about people saying, when are you going to tell your story? You know, so tell your story.
Okay. Well, so it's like on demand. Tell your story, Lori.
You don't want to do it right now?
No, I would love to do it. This is the alien part of God, Aliens, and a Cup of Coffee, and this is the part of the, and actually that's probably the essence of why I wanted to do this website, was to get the word out. I think my story, and it goes back to when we were children, you know, it was the energy that was out there that was saying, don't go in the basement, or don't do this, or, you know, something was in Chris's closet, that, you know, the closet where mom would put all of our summer clothes, and then we'd switch out to our winter clothes and vice versa. I mean, there were some places that it was real easy to catch on and say, there's really, really something wrong here. And that's just been, you know, a part of me. Fortunately, I haven't felt it at your house, just to let you know, FYI, or at even Chris's house. You know, I haven't felt any negative karma or whatever. But yeah, so, you know, when I got over to England, you know, the one thing that I learned was that in order to be taken seriously, I had to try and be serious. I couldn't be, you know, I couldn't be playful or joke around, which really goes against my grain. I tried my best to be logical, and I was like, yes, sir, ooh, you know. And the problem that I see is that when women, and I didn't think it would happen here, but it happens everywhere, is that when a woman is talking about something that's important, it's hard for people to listen. It's almost like they want to hear it. It's got to come from a man. And I mean, it's the same with even the you know, with Christianity, you know, it's most of the people who are going out and talking, you know, about Christianity, and people are listening and moving in you know, huge groups. I mean, that guy Joel, what's his name?
Joel Osteen.
Yeah, Joel Osteen, and many others. I mean, even when they had, I guess you could say they had Tammy Faye, but I don't think people really took her seriously when it came to, you know, the Christianity with the what was going on, what she and her husband did on the TV. But the point is that, being dismissed is actually part of the story too. It's like, why is it that people will listen to one and not the other? And I really don't mind if the person who is getting the attention, as long as they're telling the truth, as long as they're telling the real story, as long as it's not about making money, it's about getting the story out. And also, again, I always tell people it's about helping me understand what I experience in my life through my intuition or my gut feeling and whatnot, and how we end up navigating through our lives and being able to use these gifts, because
Yeah.
that's what they are. I really truly believe it. I mean, when I was visiting you and we went to that prayer group that Andrea led, and she started speaking in tongues, and I kind of rolled with it because I understand it. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't, it was another gift. And grandma had that gift too. And so people do that. I kind of speak in tongues when I'm talking to my dog, but I guess it's different, I guess. But he understands. He's like, yeah, I understand. But I just think that with, I kind of think that God puts things in front of you that he thinks you can handle, and so I guess in a way the big thing with me is that I'm a nudge. I don't let go of things so easily. It's like, oh, you made me feel so bad. It's like Nick Pope said I was needy and something else. And I'm like, no, I'm not needy. You're the one that's needy. I mean, I was there. I had other people that corroborated my story. They were there. I mean, but the point is that you weren't there. And in fact, you were a 15-year-old boy when everything was going on, even though you talk about it as if you were there, as from the perspective of Ministry of Defense. And even Ministry of Defense has said, Nick Pope wasn't, they barely even looked at anything to do with, UFOs. They couldn't really, it wasn't their thing. But he was trying to make it as if he was Fox Mulder. Maybe that's where I go wrong, is that I haven't really made it like, here I was, over in England, working for the Department of Defense, United States Air Force, standing watch over where nuclear bombs were held, and all the stuff. And it's all my responsibility that all of this word gets out. No, I was just a kid trying to do my job and stay warm. It was like, I didn't look at it as anything more than what it was, which makes it easier to be truthful because, it's, what it is.
You ever hear that expression, watchman on the wall? You ever hear that expression?
No. Mm-mm.
It's a spiritual term, but regardless, whether you're just a kid trying to do your job and stay warm, you still were like a watchman on the wall. You were there to watch and observe and make sure everything is okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, don't negate that either.
Oh, no.
But yeah, you did have that position of making sure things were safe. So when you had that feeling, don't go outside, your intuition was kicking in.
Yeah.
There was something happening.
Yeah. And I recently saw, and I think I put it on Twitter, which I'll have to explain to you what that is later. Twitter is like Facebook, and the other one's Instagram. This video, it's a really, really short, it's like a one of those short little videos or GIF, or it's one of those that it's only like 2 seconds long. And it was this really, really scary guy, and I'll have to share it. And if anyone watches it, I will definitely put it on Twitter so you can see it again, because it really blew my mind when I found it, because I said, that's the crazed man that was over by the pond that was near this Ivy Lodge gate at Bentwaters. And, you know, there's just a lot of things out there that I really wish were explored, or wish that more people would take an interest in learning more about the place and more about what's going on. Because sometimes people will actually say, well, why are you trying to get into the UFO? You know, you just want to draw attention to yourself. I mean, that's what I hear too. And I don't think I never put myself first in the whole thing. I mean, I'd be happy, you know, to share it with other people, let them know, well, he knows and he knows and he knows, and they have a truth there. But some of these other people are just making a lot of static. And but I'd like to, you know, I wouldn't even mind if there was someone who could actually, again, help me explore, looking at the history of the place. The same way, like, say, the house, the property that we grew up on. I really think something really, really dangerous and bad happened there. Maybe our house was built on a cemetery or something, because there was something really, really evil at that house. And it was right, I could even tell you exactly where it was too. It was like in the backyard. We had actually, it wasn't near the grandma's room, but it was right behind, there was a window into the living room. But if you were outside, there was also a little glass window or something into the basement. And it was right in that area where all this activity was going on that I really couldn't, you know, that really, really freaked me out. And if you went into the basement at Dad's, or cellar as we called it, and you went in through that side, you know how he moved the stairs to the side by the stone room?
Yeah.
You walk down there. Yeah, it was definitely creepy walking down those steps. But it was that wall when you walked in, and then you made that left turn on the right side, that right wall where the
Right.
where the radiator, or, you know, the heater was, and then they had this big old ice freezer. Yeah, just against that whole wall. That was the wall that was where all this evil stuff was coming from. And yeah, so I mean, at least that was one of the places. The other place was up in, you know, Chris's room, in that closet thing that kind of had a smell of vanilla. But my point is that, you know, historically I believe that something happened there. And you know, and it probably did, because I mean, apparently they had to move, I guess, the Native Americans off of Long Island, so, you know, we could take over and live there, I guess, you know. I mean, you know, that's just the way things happen. But yeah, so anyway, so this gift, and I have a feeling these, mostly, again, is a lot of it's the negative energy. When I got to England, it was just bombarding me. It was just bombarding me. And it was really frightening in a lot of ways. I was also up against the fact that I was working with a bunch of guys. I couldn't let them know that I was scared, you know, even though some of them would outright admit that they were scared. And so it was just, and just watching people doing just bizarre things, like breaking into a music store we had, where we called it the sound center, where they had stereo equipment and records and all that stuff. And this guy was crawling through the ceiling tiles with a harpoon. And I was thinking, oh my God, what if I chased after him? I'm crawling in the same place where he is, and he turns harpoon on me or something like that. What do? You say, Mom, I have a problem. I've been harpooned, you know. I mean, it was just like so bizarre. You know, a lot of it. I mean, I would really, really think about these things, you know, about what's going on with these people, making them do all these things. This energy was so powerful and strong. And we did have a huge group of people that were very devout Christians. And they had Bible studies and whatnot. I mean, there was this, other group, and they wanted me to be a part of that group. And I was kind of grappling at the time, because I was Catholic, so I was like, well, I've already been baptized. Why do I have to be, baptized again? I mean,
Right, right.
So, and this is an 18, 19-year-old kid talking. And so my level of experience in life was, it was pretty, I mean, 18, 19 years is very different than 62 years or whatnot. And so anyway, when I talk about like the UFO, when it came, I was already pretty much, beaten up. I mean, I was almost, hey, Ray Felt's seeing UFOs, Ray Felt's doing this. I mean, it's like, I just wanted to get some credibility, to show them that I was really, good at my job, and it didn't really matter. I mean, that was really, really difficult. And, so because you base on performance, and the performance standards were really, really basic. Does she wear her uniform properly? I wear my uniform like everybody else did. Although I started to rip my pants going through if I had to crawl through a window, or if I had to sit on a chair that had a hole in it, and spring would grab onto my, and rip my pants. And women's pants were more expensive than the men's pants. So I was starting to wear the men's pants. It was easy to spend $7 and to spend $30, that kind of thing. But it was, yeah. So anyway, I think that a lot of people want to know more about, my story. And it is pretty basic. However, the parts that I find interesting is that it just took me on a journey, to listen to other people, to other people's truth, and to learn more about it. And that's where I have problems, is because with Nick Pope, he's kind of adding more static. It's like when we were talking about going out of our way to visit mom, and she starts talking about people we don't even know when we go visit her. It's like, I don't get it. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, do you have any questions about my sighting?
Well, I mean, just in this thing, you never really said in today's video what you saw, how you saw it.
Yeah. Well,
are you assuming that everybody watching knows your story?
Well,
I've actually,
yeah.
Can you do a real quick thing of what you saw?
I can. It was, let me see, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was in February. It was dark, and me and this Airman Duffield, he and I were on patrol. I was the lead patrol. So we went up to East Gate, which is where there's just a lot of crazy high strangeness going on there. And we went up to the gate to make sure it was locked. And as soon as we were done, I put the truck into reverse, and I went back to the actual gate shack and parked my car facing off base. And we were just kind of talking, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to keep awake. And we both started looking out, and we could see this light coming in from the North Sea. And it was oval in shape. It looked like a large cargo plane. It was a big light, but it was, coming in. And anyway, I was just staring at it, thinking, oh wow, we got a plane coming in. And I was just waiting to see what was going to happen. And then I look over to my left, and was waiting for the lights of the runway to go on. They were like these blue lights. and just waiting for them to go on. And they weren't, I kept looking, thinking, what the heck? We got a plane coming in and no one's turning the lights on. So so they could land carefully. So genuinely, I really thought, it was a plane that was coming in from Germany, someplace like that. And then I started thinking about, do I have all my forms that I need to, because I had to then do a customs check when the plane lands from over, from another country. You got to check for, contraband. Did they bring anything in? So this is where my head was at. I was really thinking about my job, what we got to do. And then it was about maybe 50 yards away. It wasn't far. And it stopped and it hovered. It was about maybe 30 feet off the ground. I mean, it wasn't that far off the ground. And it was just a really, really bright light. And I mean, and it was huge, but it just stopped and it was starting to kind of pulsate a little bit, like the light would kind of get a little brighter than not, and brighter than not. And at that point, we realized, what the heck is, what is this, And then it started to make these geometric movements. It started going up, down, left, right. I always tell people it was just like the sign of the cross. Went up, down, left, right, before it burst into three round pieces, smaller pieces. And then it took an arc of nosedive. It went down like this, and it moved really quick. Once it broke into three pieces and started moving, it moved at an astronomical speed. And it flew into the night sky. We were watching like, and watching in the sky, and until we couldn't see it anymore. And, then we were kind of like looking around to say, what is that? What was that? I mean, I'd never seen anything like that. Didn't make any noise, the whole thing. It was,
Wow.
just crazy. But the problem is that it was first of all, it flew over a military base. And it flew over a base where we did have, or we were very close in the location of where we had nuclear bombs over at Bentwater side. But we did have non-nuclear munitions on Woodbridge. So and these were like twin bases that I was working on. So there were two separate bases, but they were only about 5 miles apart, and both were really small bases. And then, but I realized, I said, we got to report it, because it flew into military,
Atmosphere.
and, I mean, I did think, well, what if we don't report it? What if we don't, maybe it'll just all go away. But if something really bad happened, I would have been probably, I would have been either discharged out of the military for dereliction of duty, or I could have been sent to, I'm trying to think of the base in Kansas that is Fort Leavenworth, where it's a jail. I mean, they would, I would be like a traitor or whatever. You didn't report that. But on the other hand, I had these other people that would be, if you report it, people are going to have a field day with it. They are going to be laughing and making fun of you, and it's not going to bode well for your credibility. Because first of all, I was just an airman. I was very, I was young. I only had 2 stripes. I was airman first class. And so anyway, so then I thought, I know what I'll do. So I took my handheld radio and I handed it over to Keith, who was sitting next to me. I said, Keith, you got to report this. If he'd report it, then I don't have to deal with, Rayfeld seeing UFOs. And he said, no, you report it. So we're going back and forth now. And I'm periodically looking up in the sky to see if it'll come back, because I really needed to process this whole, what we had just experienced. And so finally, I kind of said, damn it, with the whole thing of you're the lead patrol, you're in charge. I'm not, I'm just a writer in life. I was like, damn it. So I had to report it. And so I contacted over the handheld radio, it's like police control. This is police 4. Be advised that an aircraft had flown over the base, and and I was trying to describe it more than anything. I didn't know. It's like, yeah, we had an unidentified flying object fly into military airspace. Like, I kind of wanted to soften it up to not sound so like UFO. The desk sergeant who was in charge at the time, he didn't really like me at all, which really made that made it just more hard. And his name is Alan Cohen, and he said, police 4, get on the landline in Eastgate. So we did have a telephone in Eastgate that was a direct line from there to the desk sergeant, who was 5 miles away. So I get on the phone and he goes, Rayfield, what's going on? And I said, well, this aircraft came in, and then it started doing these geometric movements, and it broke into 3 pieces. It flew over the base. And he goes, wait a second. He said, go over to the air tower, because we did have we had a runway. We did have an air tower. I mean, it was an active base. You could go over to the air tower. I thought, good. That's good, because then they will have seen it, hopefully. So we went over to the air tower, and I was kind of anxious, and I really wanted to know more of what was going on. Maybe they could have told me, oh, this was an experiment, this was an exercise, or this is a new aircraft that's come in, something. So I went up, climbed these metal steps with Keith, and told him that we knocked on the door, and the door was metal. So it was like, if you ever knock on a metal door, it's like it doesn't make any vibration. So it's like, he can't hear me, because it sounded like somebody's tapping or something. So then I was kicking the door, like bam, bam, trying to get somebody. So this guy, this airman, air traffic controller, he comes to the door and he goes, what's going on? And I said, well, we just want to see what you saw, what was maybe on radar or something, because it was really, technology was so different then than it is now. I mean, it would have been great if I had a handheld phone and I could, let me videotape this. This is really wild. And so apparently I saw by his look, he looked disheveled, and his hair was messed up, and he looked like he'd been sleeping, and I knew he was sleeping. He'd been sleeping. We woke him up. And so you go, oh no, that was probably afterburners from a fighter aircraft from a British military base. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think that's it. I didn't want to argue with him. So I kind of let it go. But and I said, but you didn't get anything on radar, that whole thing? He said, no. And so I was really really disgusted. And I walked away, and now I'm kind of on an outside patio, like at a second floor, like outside. And I'm looking out toward the North Sea, which is the direction, it was the same direction of where we saw the aircraft. So it's like I'm looking in the direction of where East Gate is, and just thinking in my head, how can I fix this? How can I, what can I say? But the one thing that I didn't click was the fact that now it was starting to become daylight. And what I find interesting about that aspect is how we went from 3 o'clock in the morning, and now it was roughly 6 o'clock in the morning. So obviously we did lose time. We lost between 2 to 3 hours of time. It's like, what, that in a way blew me away, but it was just so subtle. I mean, it was almost like you would never have, it was like the sequence of things wasn't moving. It moved too fast. Or how they say time flies when you have
Yeah.
a phone, I guess, but this was a lot of time that went by. But it was, because I was thinking about, well, afterburners from another aircraft create what they call a sonic boom. Again, this thing didn't make any noise. So it, yeah, so it pretty much left me, and I did take a lot of heat for it. It left me really kind of depressed, and I'm thinking, man, just trying to do my job, and it was just really discouraging. And so this was in February 1980, and technically I was supposed to be leaving Bentwaters in May of 1980, but I decided to extend because I was in a relationship that turned out wasn't going anywhere. But eventually, people kind of forgot about it, and now I was counting my days down to get the hell out of there. And what I didn't realize is that the next time, in 2 weeks after I left, and I was home I got home December 15th, about a week or so after John Lennon died. And I can still remember seeing the Newsday sitting on Mom's table with the Christmas tablecloth on it, and seeing about John Lennon. It just blew me away, that too. It's like he died, I'm thinking, how could, here I am in England, now I'm in New York where it happened, it just kind of blew, just really, really sad. And so 2 weeks after I left, around December 27th, 28th, when I was starting to get ready to head over to get to my next base, which was in Denver, is when the UFO came back. But this time it was lights that were flying around pretty low. They were small. They were like orbs that were really small. But
One second. So what do you mean it came back? Where were you when it came back?
I was in New York. I didn't know it came back. I didn't learn that it came back until about 1995.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
someone else saw it. Someone
that?
else saw the same thing that you saw.
Yeah. Actually, it was some of the guys that I knew from I was on Delta flight at the time, and some of the guys on Charlie flight were on duty, and it happened again. It was during the midnight to morning shift, and so when they saw it, it was probably, I don't remember offhand if it was early on. They thought initially, the first night, they thought it was a downed aircraft, and they went off base to investigate it, where I and it was, I would have let it go. I would say, no, that's off base, so I don't have to deal with it. So I'm just in a whole different kind of struggle with what was going on. And it dawned on me, and I kind of got really excited when I heard that it came back, because now it was a base commander, deputy base commander, lieutenant colonel, saw the UFO. In fact, he was out there, and he's Colonel Halt, and he actually, he's written a couple of books about it. And but people treated him, they didn't treat, he wasn't treated well. He to shut up about it, because he
Your
realized.
audio is not working.
What's that?
Your audio is going in and out.
Okay, how's it now?
It's good now.
Okay, so he he eventually dropped it, because he saw it wasn't good for his career. It's not a career enhancing event. In fact, over the next few nights, it came back again. The first night, the two guys that went out to see it, or the three guys, I was wondering, is there a way that you could lift up a little bit? You're kind of like sinking down a little bit.
Let me try to tilt
If
it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so yeah, so when he saw it, he had to write it. He wrote a memo, and it went to I guess MOD. They call it the HALT memo, and it didn't come out through Freedom of Information Act until like 1983. Now, all this while, I am like, all I wanted to do is put Bentwaters behind me, and I didn't want to even think about it. And so I was pretty much like really clueless, that it came back. And then when I found out it came back, it was about 1996, 97, somewhere in there. And it was because I typed in Netscape. You remember Netscape? The old browsers they had on the phone, on the computer. I typed in RAF Bentwaters, and then all of a sudden I started seeing these things about left at East Gate, and it came back, and oh my God, and all of a sudden these people that I knew from that time frame, which is really bizarre. It's like having a reunion that you don't really you thought maybe these people were like ghosts and they were gone, and all of them were coming out of the woodwork, and it just blew my mind. And in some ways it was very, very cathartic, because now in my mid to late 30s, and I felt like I was in a different place, in my head, in my maturity, and all this other stuff. Now I was a captain in the military, and it was at that point. So it was like like somebody just opened my eyes, and then all of a sudden at that point, it was synchronicity started to really kick in. Like all of a sudden it was like, I was able to get in touch with these people. I was able to get in touch with these investigators who were working it from the people from England. This one woman, Georgina Bruni, contacted me from London. She called me at my desk at work, and and then I told her, and I gave her information about other people that had their own experiences there, and so I was really trying to help help get the story going and help it move along.
Whatever happened to the guy that saw it with you? Whatever happened? Did you ever get in touch with him?
Keith, I actually did. I found he had moved to he was living in Oklahoma, but he apparently, I guess he just never had any interest in
talking about it.
Yeah. The only thing he said is like, yeah, it was weird, all those lights, the way they moved and the way it flew off, that whole thing. And I was kind of curious, because I wanted to know, well, is this something that's been nagging on you, like it's like it won't go away? I mean, in my opinion, when I kept looking back at my military career, I mean, I spent 27 years. Why was it that Bentwaters and Woodbridge were like the worst assignment I ever had? I mean, what was it about that place that, and why does it still kind of nag on me that I want answers? I want answers about what happened. I want to know the history of the place. I want to know what was going on over on Bentwaters at Ivy Lodge Gate. I want to know about why. I mean, I was sharing with this woman, another researcher, Linda Moulton Howe, who, and I told her about that there was oh God, what was it? Like this praying mantis, kind of giant praying mantis in the Woodbridge non-nuclear munition storage area where I had worked. I told her about the high strangeness experiences that I had on top of the UFO that came through. And I'm like, there's a lot more going on than than most people realize. And so then I was, Nick Pope had reached out to me, and we talked a little bit. And I remember seeing him on Larry King Live and thinking, well, I'm really glad that somebody from the MOD who was there is actually on, you know, Larry King and talking about Rendlesham Forest. I mean, because there were other people that wanted answers. And I mean, there's so many answers. I mean, is this God? Is this, you know, is this really aliens? Is this like a team of people up in the sky that's kind of keeping an eye on us? I mean, saying, are they going to do the right thing, or are we people on this planet going to do something stupid and blow ourselves up? You know, I mean, are we, whatever's out there, these UFOs, are they a threat? And I realized that they don't care about us. They really don't. I mean, what they care about is what we're doing to our planet. And then why do I know that? You know, I mean, because I don't know, it makes sense. You know, I mean, we're you know, they don't want us to, you know, because if we harm the planet, then we harm ourselves, and then we're extinct. You know, I mean, so maybe they do care about us. But, you know, I'll tell people flat out, are they a threat? No, they are not a threat. And but I think they're telling us that we can only handle so much. And you know, and there's a possibility that they may be us. Maybe they came from the future and they're trying to tell us not to screw up our planet because they want to live. I don't, you know, there's so many different mindsets going on. But so then one day, so anyway, I mentioned about seeing, you know, Nick Pope on Larry King Live, and you know, and he was talking, and he was very sincere, and he was, you know, he just had that sense of credibility. And then one day, I was just curious about his background, you know, just to say, you know, well, because I felt like he never really told me that much about what he knew that happened there, like what was happening behind the scenes at Ministry of Defense when all of this was going down. And I mean, did he go out? Did he investigate? Did he actually go out in the field and, you know, investigate this situation from the Ministry of Defense point of view? So so that was something that was very, very fuzzy. And then I was reading on his website that he was born in 1965, I believe. And I think 1965, I mean, I was a kid when I was there at Bentwaters. So I started, you know, I did the math, and that was when I realized that, wait a second here. There's no way he could be working for Ministry of Defense in a you know, in a position of authority when he was just a 15-year-old kid. Now his father worked for Ministry of Defense, but not him. And then he got a job working at Ministry of Defense in, I guess, 1984, 85. And now he was about all of 20. So, and there's no way when you're 20 years old, that means that you either A, haven't finished your college degree, or you never went to college, you know, I mean, so again, talking to Linda Moulton Howe, she said, well, you know, Lori, you're really on something here, because yeah, his dad got him that job, and you know, and he just wasn't, he's not who he had, you know, people perceive him to be. And you know, but you know, she doesn't want to rock the boat, because people are just like that, you know, if you rock the boat, then you're an outsider. But that's my MO, I rock the boat. You know that from me growing up. It's like, if anyone's going to rock the boat, if anyone's going to tell the truth that mom and dad are getting a divorce, it's going to come out of Lori's mouth. You know, I mean, and it's just all, you know, in my sense, it's all intuition. And I get really aggravated because I feel like, you know, he hasn't told the truth. Even his nonverbal. You know, he could say, wait. No, it wasn't then that I worked for MOD. I worked for MOD later on, and I kind of saw the file on it, or I saw the memo from Colonel Halt or whatever. You know, it was no, he just kind of.
All right, we got to wrap it up only because I see it's like almost 3:30.
Okay.
All right, so
So anyway, you asked me to share the story, and this is the first time we really sat and talked about aliens, and
yeah,
and
so we need to, next time when we pick up, we'll have some questions that maybe you can answer, or or not,
okay. Or not, because it could be that cup of coffee that I want to have. And
No, but I appreciate what you shared.
do you
Yeah.
really?
I really do.
Wow. Because sometimes I feel like it's kind of, I've shared the story so many times with so many, and sometimes you have to have, okay, it's almost like, it's like when that woman at Mom's funeral, the nun had asked us, do you want to share anything about your mom? And I felt like I just spilled my guts, but you want me to read what I shared? I'll do that. I would, but I didn't think anyone wanted to hear it again. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and my story is out there, but for the life of me, I don't really understand why, again, why people still gravitate to him. You can actually look him up. I mean, he's on Facebook, he's on all these different things. I just would never share with him that you were related to me, because then he'll block you, because he, again, here he should be supporting, what they call the experiencers who've seen UFOs and experienced all this stuff. They should treat them with a little bit of, kindness, or say, well, yeah, well, you did see, yeah, it was pretty rough. It was a war. But because he knows that I know the truth, and seeing him is like watching a mosquito or a gnat. You're at the beach, you're having a great time, and all of a sudden, or a horsefly hit, lands on your leg and bites you. You're like, this isn't fun anymore. I like the beach, but shoot fly. But so anyway, I would like to end this with you sharing a prayer.
Love to. All right, so let's pray. Father God, we just thank you, Lord. We thank you for Lori today, for her sharing her story.
Don.
Yes, and for sharing her beautiful card that she got from her sister. God, we just thank you for being close to us, being in our hearts, Lord. We just pray as we go about our week, Lord, that you fill us with everything that is you, all the love, grace, peace, joy, and mercy. Just fill us with the Holy Spirit. Help us, give us wisdom and discernment as we go about our week. Pray for our families. No weapon formed against us will prosper. In Jesus' almighty and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. Well, I will
hit the yeah, we will catch up and stay on after you turn the thing off, okay?
Stay on. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Turn the video off.